Brilliant. Everybody here in this room has a gift. We all have a special gift, and it's about sharing that with other people. And you come to a stage in life where you prefer to give. After you may have worked so hard in your careers, you get to a stage and you think, now it's time for a change, it's time to give. You may have a talent individually here. It could be you're good at listening, it could be you understand people really well, you could be a great teacher, a great footballer, whatever your talent is, but sharing that with others is what the purpose of life is about. Today's a very, very special day. We have a number of visitors in today.
AIT are a charity that educate people of all ages about how people from the UK have changed others' lives. Through the use of IT, information technology, and telecommunications, they aim to capture the past and inspire the future through interviews, publications, blogs, and sharing resources.
Well done, very well read. So, if you get a chance, when you go home, you can maybe share this with your parents. A link will be shared in the afternoon session. My advice to you would be to sign up to Archives of IT, and you can learn about lots and lots of different people through interviews, through blogs, etc. You can learn about what they've done to have an impact on you. Brilliant. And I know you guys have just had a science lesson where you were making circuits. That fits perfectly with the theme of today. Could you just tell us a little bit, Tom, about what you've done in the past? Because I found that quite interesting, and I think everybody here would also love to know.
So when I was at school, I very much liked studying sciences and mathematics. And when I left school, I went to university and studied electrical and electronic engineering, which is all about those circuits and electricity and batteries and displays and that kind of stuff. And after I'd finished my first studies at university, I stayed on and did some work on actually making devices that did processing like computers. And for that I got a qualification called a PhD, so I'm a Dr. Tom Abram. I'm retired, so to speak, but I fill my time by studying the history of IT and running this charity.
Thank you very much. And hand over to John Carrington.
Hello, I'm John Carrington. I'm the chairman of the trustees, or chair of trustees of Archives of IT. My background is I think a bit of a clue as to why I believe IT is important. I got excited I was involved in telecommunications for many years. And the thing that excited me most, I became involved in the foundation of mobile telephones, cellular telephones in this country. I founded something that some of you may use, now called O2, as well as having a hand in the foundation of something that's just going to leave, it's called 3. And the important thing is that over the years, when I started, there were only a few thousand mobiles in this country. Now, I think most people have one. Some people have 2, some people have 3. Depends what line of business they're in. But what excited me about that was the power of IT to liberate people, to users. You use your computers, your hands. What is important is that there is actually quite a lot to be done. And this country, in the last 70 years, since the first commercial computers came about in this country, in 1951, have been major influences and taking the art form forward. You could be part of that by looking at IT as a career opportunity, so not just as users, but as people who make it happen. I think that's the excitement that still exists in IT and telecommunications.
Thank you, John. That's brilliant. And just to reiterate, our visitors, our guests today, are giving us something. They've travelled from far. They're giving us their time to inspire you, to teach you, because you are the future. So that's a very nice gesture from you all, which we really appreciate. Now, here's some pictures of Sir Robin Saxby. Not necessarily all of him, but there are some of them that represent him. Now, what I want you to do, you're going to discuss amongst yourselves, just 30 seconds or so. Tell me as much about him as you can. For example, I think he likes to sleep quite a lot. I don't know, could be wrong. Not sure what that means. Do you have a cat? Maybe. The rest is down to you. I'm going to give you just 20, 30 seconds or so, and you're going to feed back to me. Okay, off you go. Okay, hands are going up already. Right, if I pick random people, is there anything you can see on the board that you would like to think about that may represent Sir Robin? Should we pass you on to pick somebody else? Maybe around the room? Yeah?
Might be married.
He might be married. In fact, if we turn around and we can see Lady Saxby at the back, we can give her a wave. That is his wife. And yes, he is married. Well done. Any more? Yeah. He might have lots of siblings. We're going to hand over to him shortly. Just two more. Yes.
He could be one of the first people to have a TV.
Ooh, could be. And last one.
He graduated.
Graduated. Okay. On that note, what I'm going to do, I'm going to hand you over to Sir Robin Saxby, and I will be your clicker today, sir. So if I'll go on to the first slide.
Thanks a lot. So, thank you, Ravi, for all this good work that he's done preparing this. So he's thanking everybody else, but he's actually doing all the work, and he's been beavering away on his computer. So I think big thanks to Ravi. The other thing, this idea about giving, right? So we live in a society, I feel, where money is too important and the reality, but as the Beatles say, money doesn't buy you love, and money doesn't actually make you happy. So as human beings, we like sharing, we like having mates, we like getting on, and we like doing things that we like to do. And I've been very lucky because I've just done what I love to do. And thank you for having me here, because you are, I can think back to when I was your age and you can inspire me. So the idea of just putting these slides together, which you've seen in the collage, it's just like my life. So here I am as a little baby. I was born in a snowdrift, and the reason why I'm called Robin was because outside my grandmother's house there was a robin singing in the snow. Patty, my lovely wife there, that I've been married to for 53 years, said you're lucky there wasn't a P-root out there. Otherwise I'd be Sir P-root Saxby. But I'm Sir Robin Saxby. So that's me born. I lived with my mum and dad. This was the early 50s, just after the war. Yes, I did have some siblings. That's my little brother, Chris, right? He's Christopher Robin. He's 3 years younger than me. And then I was to the school, similar to this school. I don't know what age is year 6?
10 to 11.
10 to 11. So here I think I'm at 8. Right. So here I am as the rabbit in the school play with Mrs. Framingham, our teacher, and that's another picture of me. And in the school we had an optional lesson. And what you could do is you could bring in whatever you fancy bringing in. And what I brought in was this electrical outfit. Right? I was given this for Christmas by my auntie. And then it had bells, buzzers, and so on. It says about electricity. So I was interested in, for some reason, I don't know why, I was interested in electricity at an early age. And I like these circuits that I made bells and buzzers. And I remember the teacher saying to me, Miss Frankingham, be careful you don't electrocute yourself. And I said, don't worry, it's only 4.5 volts. So I really liked, I was happy with my wires and my buzzers and making my circuits and getting things to work. It was a very comfortable environment. I was taking control of it. And then Peter said to him, who was the person who inspired you? And believe it or not, the person who inspired me was a next door neighbour called Mr. Birch, who'd actually died. And Mr. Birch used to build circuits with valves and so on. And I got his book called Modern manual of modern radio, and it told you how to make circuits and wire things up. And with his argument, I got circuits. So I built transmitters, I made amplifiers, and by the way, I like rock and roll, so I was into music from a very early age. And then within us children, we all need to pass exams, we all have worries, and we all have to have pressures. But occasionally, we get a bit of success. And my first success, I was at the age of 13, was when there was a competition in Chesterfield. This is a town in Derbyshire, and it was all about cycling safety, and there were hundreds of kids in it, and they watched people driving around Chesterfield to say who was the safest cyclist, and I actually got the prize. And here I've been presented by the Mayor and Mayoress of Chesterfield with my brownie camera. And then another thing that happened to me, which was quite significant, my favourite subjects were maths, physics, chemistry. This is what I was studying later on. The school I had was quite diverse in its thinking, and they said, we will have a competition for somebody in the science 6 to do a painting and win a prize. And I had no training in art, and I did this painting, and I won the prize. Right? And that, since now painting has become a hobby. By the way, how did I get into this? It was a next door but one neighbour called Mr. Bailey who gave me some paints, and this sharing thing, he shared his paints with me, and that got me into painting. Next slide, please. So again, I passed my A-levels, and I chose to go to the University of Liverpool. This was my first choice, and the reason why I chose Liverpool was actually because Liverpool was probably the capital of music in the world. It's still pretty good at music. And I went to Liverpool, 1 for the music, 2 because it was on the coast, 3 because it was near the Lake District in Snowdonia. And I went as much to the city of Liverpool as I went to the university. But I was attracted to the university because I wanted to study electronic engineering. And the University of Liverpool opened this brand new building in 1965, so you've got like the best facilities, so that attracted me. And also, for me, this was absolute luxury. So I lived in a house, semi-detached. We didn't have central heating, but my whole residence had central heating. I was also very lucky in those days, because in those days you got a grant to go to university. And then this is something else, and there's the lady at the back of the room. This is 1967, when I met Patty, and we actually got on quite well. And by the way, we've continued arguing throughout the whole of our lives, but we can still communicate with her, and we're still trying to get better. And especially, by the way, as Patty is a teacher, you'll be pleased to know that I'm still getting things wrong, and I'm still being corrected, right? I'm trying to, so if you get a bit of pressure from some teachers, just smile and say, yes, miss, or yes, sir, and do as you're told. Right? I'm not as good at that as you are, probably. You're probably better disciplined than I am. And then the other thing that happened at university is the other things you do in life, not just your discipline. So I'm studying for my degree in electronics. I also become president of the Hall of Residence. They used to see me as the president. The Hall of Residence is the student accommodation. And what we did, the big achievement there, we held dances, we made money, and we bought a washing machine for every block in the hall. So again, that's where I learned some of my residence skills. And the other thing about being the president of the hall, this is the rugby procession, and we built the Roscoe Emperor, which is like a steam engine. And because I'm the president, I get to ride in the engine, whereas the rest of the people are actually pulling me along. So again, if you can get yourself into a nicer position, you can get better at that. I've got my degree, and then the other thing is about connectivity and people. So even after I graduated, my first job was in the south, but I used to give lectures at my old university, and in, I don't know, about, when did I get my honorary doctorate at Liverpool, Patty?
2000.
Yeah, about 2000. I got an honorary doctorate. So the other thing I would say to you is, you've got contacts, you've got friends here, keep in touch. Right, next slide, please. So then, I told you, I didn't explain to you, I had a radio and TV repair business when I was 13, at the time I won the prize from there. And I used to repair televisions, and I get money for that, and that would buy my clothes, and that would actually buy my records and my music. So again, all of you, can do something that inspires you or you might be able to make a bit of money for to have a better quality of life. And because television was my subject, I did my final year essay at Liverpool was colour television receiver theory and design. Now, back in the old days, colour televisions didn't exist. It was all black and white. So I was involved. This is the circuit that I designed, and this circuit has microchips in it. So I was involved in the microchip industry in 1968, which not many people were doing. And this was actually that was the actual television. And it was actually the first, in the old days, you used to have things called thermionic valves that used to heat up. You've probably never seen them. But this was a very advanced television, and I worked with some really good people. The other thing around this time, you'll see I got married. This was the getaway car from our marriage. That was my Ford Anglia 105E. I paid £105 for that. And the other thing about connections to here, Patty, being a teacher, we lived in Blakehall Road, Wanstead. This is called Edgar House. It's still there. And so actually we were living not far from here. And thanks to my wife, I was just a poor engineer, because she was a teacher and they needed teachers, they encouraged teachers to come to London. We got cheaper rent. And this is the cat. So this is our first cat, Bruce. We paid 15 shillings for him. We bought him on Wanstead High Street. And then what happens, me being a young engineer, I'm not a particularly shy person, but I gave a talk at the Royal Television Society called TV and Chips. It was microchips. And Motorola semiconductors were setting up here, and they were looking for engineers. Next slide, please. That's another picture of me in the lab doing some stuff with the oscilloscope. Right, so what happened is, Motorola, having given my talk, they actually offered me, I think I was paid about £1,500, and they put a year, and they put my salary up to something like £2,300. But this is what really got me. They said, what do you want for your new Cortina 2000 GXL? That's the car, right? So basically, there I was with that poor Ford Anglia broken down, and this is typically the American company. They give you the company car, and you all join. And this was a really dynamic American company, and we did some great stuff. And this is a picture of me with some customers. And what I learned about at Motorola, from the design engineering, I learned about selling, I learned about marketing, and so on. I had a great 11 years with Motorola. But then, when I was in my mid-30s, I got a phone call saying, there's this security company that's doing electronics. They don't know what they're doing. They're looking for a chief executive. Will you come and have an interview? And the company was called Henderson, by the way. They were based in Romford Division with garage doors. But they were getting into security with control barriers for cars. This thing's actually called the terrorist truck bomb stopper, but they're also in access control. And what had happened is they bought this electronics company in America, and they wanted something to sort the mess out they got. And basically, my interview was, we've got all these problems, what would you do? I said, well, we get a consultant in, and we do this. And he said, do you mean PA consulting? No, I said, I think Dave Lieber can do that in an afternoon. So because of my electronics knowledge, I got a job as the boss of the company, and I didn't know too much about finance, about all of these other things. But the truth is, this was the hardest period I ever had in my life, because the guy who was my boss actually believed the only way to motivate people was through fear. So, for example, he said, in that meeting with Stuart, you admitted you made a mistake. Never let me hear you say that again. It's a sign of weakness. And I, being the engineer, I think, if you don't have this mistake, how do you ever fix things? And so there was a cultural gap between him and me, and I went through a really dark 2-year period of my life being told everything I was doing was wrong. What I realised looking back, in terms of my success in later life, this guy, who was the toughest at me at an early age, actually is a major contributor to my success, because we all face problems, and if we can get through those problems, that's what teaches us how to be stronger. And I realise that looking back. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to work or do things with people, if you think the same as they do, you understand each other, that's a good place. And there might be something that doesn't fit for you. So the other thing I'd encourage you is find what fits for you. And by the way, my relaxing
this company, Continental Corporation, they were in just off Long Island, outside of New York. And what I would do to calm down from all the pressure, I'm going for a swim in the water in Long Island. Again, so coping with the pressure, sometimes having a swim, having a chill, having a walk, these all things that help. And then what happened is an exciting company was being started in Europe. It was called European Silicon Structures. And the idea was to make chips in a different way using e-beam machines. And that's a picture of a silicon wafer that was made by e-beam machines. And what was exciting about this is when the factory was open in outside of Aix-en-Provence in the south of France. So this was a very dynamic period of a startup. It raised $100 million. It had a great business plan, great people. The bad news was we were making these chips with something called an e-beam machine, and the e-beam machine didn't work properly, and therefore the whole business plan was broken. And so basically, if something is broken, and it can never work, so they said the throughput of this e-beam machine is, say, going to be 10, and in practice it was only 1. And if something is broken, it might be impossible to fix it. So sometimes technology problems cause barriers. And then what happens is they got a phone call to say they're thinking of spinning out this technology that they could have invented. It was originally called the Acorn Wilson machine. When the new company was created, it was called the Advanced Wilson machine, and we shortened it to ON. And we started the company in this barn, just outside of Swaffham Broadway, and here we are in one of our own meetings. So for me, I was applied to this company as the chief executive. Apple put money in, VLSI Technology put money in, and they said, what should we do with this technology? And I said, we're going to be the global standard. Right? And what's surprising perhaps is we're more than the global standard, because just about everything, whether it's your Amazon Fire Stick, any phone you have, any iPad you have, any car you have, they're all full of ARM chips. So actually ARM is the most popular microprocessor on the planet. I should explain, this is 33 years after it was created that success has occurred. Next slide, please.
I think you deserve a round of applause.
So what I also want to say to you is, so although I am the leader, I am just part of the success. So we started the company with just 12 engineers and me. That's all. We only had £1.75 million worth of seed capital. And surprisingly enough today, ARM is valued at over $50 billion. Right? That's a bit mind-blowing, really. But I'm less worried about the money. What I'm most excited about is the positive influence ARM's had on people's lives. So, for example, I've visited some people in some deprived areas who are using their mobile phones to communicate to make the village life better. So there's a lot of good things that ARM has done. So now the things tell you about ARM. So this was the first chip we did, which was called the ARM 610. That's a layout of the chip. And that was used by Apple. The thing about me liking sleeping, the joke is, to get into the business, you have to travel all the time. So I do 2 long-haul flights every month. And you actually notice I'm asleep. I'm only in economy. I spend a lot of time travelling and sleeping. The other thing is about business. If it's well connected to universities, it's a good idea. So here's me and a guy who's Professor Steve Thurrock at Manchester University, and we got a gold award. This is another prize for collaboration. The first products that our customers use, that's the 3DO multiplayer. That was a failed game. Another failed product was the app Mutant. So the first products didn't work, but keep going, keep trying harder. And then these are just some pictures of the global collaboration of So this guy is Ed Caldwell of Digital, he's in Boston. These guys, I think, are in Portland, Oregon. These guys are in Korea. I did have some Japanese, so I've lost them. But in the world we live in today, so we can talk about saving the planet or doing anything. To do anything effectively for the human race, you need serious global collaboration. The benefit that I have is I have friends all across the world that I know of all, pretty well all nationalities. And one of the things we do is, again, it's about relaxation. One of my hobbies is skiing. And there's a joke about ARM from the engineers. They say, Robin's globalization strategy is to find a ski resort near to a customer and he'll do a deal with them. So hobbies, it's partially true. It turns out that most engineers love skiing. And then, so this is something else I want to tell you from Japan. So you need a bit of luck. So this thing is called a daruma. It's actually a Japanese head. There's a little tradition behind this. And Ishikawa-san, when we appointed him in Tokyo, he gave me this daruma with one eye filled in. And that's to wish you luck. And when some good things start to happen, he puts the second eye in. He put the first eye in 1991 for luck. And in 1993, the business was going like crazy. We signed up shop, all these things were happening. We put in the other thing. The other thing I can tell you about luck is useful. So my daughter, when I was thinking of joining on and starting this business, she said, I've got a dice here, Dad. Throw it, and if you're a 6, you'll be a millionaire. And I threw it, and it was a 6. And fortunately, I'm more than a millionaire now. But luck is very, very important. Okay? And then, so the other thing that happens is, after all of this success, we took the company public. So you're a private company. When you go public, people can buy and sell shares in the company, and that's when you create some real wealth. So we entered the London Stock Exchange in 1998, about 8. And then the other thing that happens is, because of all this great success, and because of saying thank you, I get honoured with a knighthood from who is now our king. At the time he knighted me, this was about 2001. He wasn't king, he was actually the Prince of Wales. And the other joke you might be quite interested about. So when they do honours in the palace, they're getting different levels of honours. The knights are taken off into a separate corner to be trained, because this sword is actually very sharp. And there's always a danger it might cut your head off. So the good news is I'm taught to bend down, not to stand up too straight, and I've still got my head. So that's just a rough idea. And then in my old age, what I enjoy doing is talking to people like you, being involved with the universities, and it's lovely to see you all. So that's all from me now. So over to you, Larry. Thank you very much.
It's an incredible story, and it just goes to show what you can really achieve with the right mindset, the skills as well. Sometimes it is about kind of getting along with people, ignoring the media, because I know you feel quite strongly about that as well, and just being positive. Remember, today's about giving. Okay, so here's a few ways that you can give. It doesn't always have to be monetary, it doesn't always have to be money. Okay, I think the most important thing you can give somebody is your time. Okay, but just spend a minute and maybe, in fact, have a look at those. So we've got 3, 6, 9 ways that you can give. Maybe have a look at those. Can somebody share with me where you've maybe done 1 or 2 of those things? Take your time. Give people a chance. Really think hard about where you may have done some of these things. When you last thanked your teacher, they give an awful lot of time to you every day. What about the midday assistants? Do they get thanked for looking after you in the playground? Do you pick up litter when you see litter on the floor? Or do you let somebody else do it because that's the cleaner's job? Maybe we can help them. When did you last give somebody a compliment? Right, let's share some of those. You put your hand up, yes.
I helped my mum at home this morning because she ran into it and I helped her with my sister and then to tidy up her house.
Good. We need somebody like you in our house. At the back, yes.
I have my mom at home. She was cleaning the house and I took care of all my baby sister.
Superb. So very similar. And in the corner?
I sometimes help some children in my class who are struggling with some pieces of work, like in maths, sometimes.
Superb. In your class, or do you mean in other classes? Because I know sometimes you have peer readers or something where you go and help younger year groups. Or, yeah.
I picked up rubbish.
Can you say that again?
I picked up rubbish.
Picked up rubbish. Good. Good. It goes a long way. And last 2. Yes.
So, at home, my mum, she was really struggling because she had to go to work early. So I helped her arrange her bag and I helped her find her
Excellent. Very, very nice. And last one.
Around the Hobbies Festival, I donated food to like the food bank.
That's really nice of you. How much food do we throw away? That really does irritate me. You had your hand up at the back. Sorry. I'll let you have the last one.
I helped my mum choose the stable.
Oh, it's very nice. Well done. Well done. So lots and lots of talent here. There's lots of people here that have something special. You know, I didn't know what my speciality was, to be honest with you. But I didn't, at school, I certainly didn't know what I wanted to do when I left school. It does take time. But start being a little bit more inward thinking and you know, identify what your talent is and begin to share. And if you're not sure what that is, just start off by these small things and you know, thanking your teachers, I think, would go a really long way. And just imagine how that would make them feel after a really long day. Right, we have got a few minutes, so what we're going to do, we're going to have a question and answer time for Sir Robin. So if you do have a question for him, and we'll also have an opportunity in the afternoon, but there are other schools joining in on the live session, alright, so you may not get to ask him a question, it just depends on numbers. So is there anyone that would like to ask a question? Sir, I'm going to hand it back to you.
What songs did you like listening to?
Loads. So I was running to the blues, so I was turned on my John Wick bugger, and it would be boom boom and things like that. But even though I went to Liverpool, I actually preferred the Rolling Stones. But Patty's from Liverpool, and she prefers the Beatles. So, Duke Ellington and his orchestra, which is jazz. So one of the things I do now, by the way, maybe you can share the song. So I now make songs in a band with my son, and I do the lyrics and he does the music. And he's got a video of my latest song that he might be able to share.
Is it on YouTube, sir?
No, because I'm very linked out.
Okay.
So the other thing about me becoming famous, everybody wants to talk to you. One of the challenges you have is, especially with social media, you've got so many people wanting to connect with you. And I'm very happy to connect with you because I've met you, but I haven't got time to connect with the whole world. Your turn.
When you were growing up, what job did you like the most about when you were going to be?
So, honestly, my first job at the age of 13, repairing televisions and making money and buying records, that was one of my most satisfying jobs because it was totally under my own control. And what used to happen is my dad would find the friends in the pub who got broken televisions, and he'd say, my son can fix that, and I'd go on my bicycle and I'd repair the television. And realistically, my life has been a bit like that. The other thing I want to say about the company are, every one of those 12 engineers contributed at least as much as I did, because the devil is in the detail. You get a bit like a football team. You need a goalkeeper, a centre forward, you need everybody in the right position. So the key message I want to give you is you've all got some ideal talent, but actually, if you're in the right team, you get a better result. Give you a chance.
What year did you retire?
So I officially retired from ON in 2007, but a bit like some of my other friends here, one of the things when you founded the company, how can you retire? And what I did is I became president of the Institution of Engineering and Technology, which is all about electronics and technology, which is a volunteer job. So I retired from my paid job and did a volunteer job, and then today I'm involved with more than 100 companies, startup companies, helping them all. I'm a visiting professor at the University of Liverpool, so my retirement from a paid job was in 2007. And actually, in some ways, I'm doing more things now than when I had a full-time job, but the only bad news is I don't get paid for anything. Your turn.
Do you support Liverpool?
Yes. Liverpool! Come on, you Reds! Sorry, does that offend you?
Yes.
Right, who's your team?
West Ham.
Well, they're okay. West Ham's okay. I'm not against West Ham. I'm glad you've got a passion for football. Yeah, your turn.
What's your favourite food?
My favourite what? Food? My favourite food is actually Japanese food. I like sushi, sashimi. The reason why I like Japanese food the best is all the different flavours. And when I eat Japanese food, I don't put on weight. But when I eat American food, I put on weight. 4th of February 1947. Now that's a really good question because I want to tell you this. When Arm only employed 14 people, we had 3 people with the birthday of the 4th of February. Right, that was me, Dave Jagger, who was one of the top inventors, and my personal assistant, Lynn Leonard. Right, so by the way, who else is an Aquarian? February. Hooray! No. So who was born? Anyway, don't worry about it. Next question. Yeah, you go.
What was your dream job when you were school?
Just carrying on playing with my electronics and now having some fun with my circuits. Yeah.
When did you get knighted?
2001.
What's your favourite sport?
My favourite what?
Sport.
Skiing. So
Yeah.
I love skiing. And we're still doing it, by the way. You'll be pleased to know that both Patty and I continue to ski faster every year. Yeah, go on.
What was your favourite thing that you've ever invented with devices?
So, to be honest with you, it's not a thing. It's if you're doing a circuit and the circuit works and it's perfect, you're very happy. It doesn't actually matter what it is. Yeah.
What's your favourite hobby?
My favourite hobby. So one of my favourite hobbies is paintings. I think you've got some of my paintings as well. Perhaps you can do that. So I showed you about the painting. The other thing about the paintings, I'm actually getting faster at painting. So that painting where I won the prize, I took several months over. And I went to Barcelona 2 weeks ago, and I came back with a finished painting of Barcelona. And he can share. So he's got the Barcelona. I'd love him to share the stuff he's got with you. That he's got. So let's go over there.
What's your favourite country that you've been to?
My favourite what? Country. So it's all of them because what I find in every country there's something really good. So in Switzerland it would be the top of the mountain. In Japan it might be a hot spring. I'm not so fond of. I don't like the tropical jungle particularly. So what I'm actually saying is, I think if we just open our eyes now and we just look at how wonderful this planet is, there's good stuff everywhere.
What was your favourite? Who was your favourite teacher in school?
So my favourite teacher in the school would be a guy called Mr. Jenkins. He was a physics teacher, and the reason why he was my favourite teacher I'll explain. So we'd have exams, and I didn't get the best marks in physics. But what he would say in his lectures is, we've talked about this subject this week. Will you please build something at home that demonstrates what you've been taught in the lectures? And I'm actually quite good practical. So I'd come in with something that I'd built, and he'd give me 23 out of 20 for my practical work. Which means even though I didn't get the best exam results, I was still top of the physics class. So he's definitely my favourite teacher. Yeah.
So how long have you been working for ARM?
Sorry?
How long have you been working for ARM?
So I worked from the start of ARM, which was in 1990, and I retired in 2007. So that was 17 years. That's how long I worked for ARM. But today I should explain, when I retired from ARM, I said I'm out because you don't want me bothering the old people, so I disconnected from that. Yes.
Sorry, sir. I'm really sorry to stop you. It's 12:30 at your lunchtime. Can we just have one final appreciation for...
One thing I want to say to all of you, right? Within all of you, there's something you're really passionate about. There's something you really care about. And every one of you have got amazing potential and opportunity. And I'm sure, you can have as much fun as I've had if you're lucky. Right? You need a bit of luck. The other thing else is if you marry the right wife or husband or whatever. So we all need a bit of help. But what I want to say to you is, with the pressure of the world today, which if you read the newspapers is pretty depressing, there's something really good in all of you. And I wish you all the best in your futures. And I hope you have as much fun as I'm still having. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you so much. But you will get a chance in the afternoon session to potentially ask a question or two. So if you have got one, make sure your teacher gets it quickly. I know it's lunchtime, so can I dismiss the first row?
Yeah.
First row. Sensibly take your chairs back to your classroom.